Simon Hurley's stellar inks are amazing inks and they're water reactive, so there's many ways that you can use them. Today we're going to try 5 techniques that I hope you will appreciate and use on your own cards. This is Colleen. Thank you for joining me today. These are the new inks that have been released, and these are in addition to Simon's current inks. They have a foam pad and they're very juicy and the colors are so vibrant. So today we're going to work on different ways that we can use these inks so that you get the most out of them. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm just showing you everything we're going to need in our video today. And Simon Hurley also has a lot of other products. He has watercolor paper and he has blending brushes that I've really grown to love, large and small. So we're going to be using all of these today in addition to a few other things. And I'm going to show you 5 ways that you can use these inks. We're also going to use new release items, Cue the Confetti, which is a 4-layer stencil. Love it. Bold Candles, which is 1 stencil. And then finally, one of my favorites is number balloons, which are rubber stamps that have coordinating dies that are sold separately. But I suggest that you get them because they're really, really fun to use. So let's start with the first technique, which is ink blending. We all know what ink blending is, but I want to show you a variation on ink blending. I'm not the greatest ink blender, so I don't go for perfect blending. I prefer more of the messy mixed media background, which you're going to see here. And if you are one of those that likes the nicely blended backgrounds, you're going to cringe at this. But you know what? If that's what you prefer, then please use that, because what I want to show you here with the ink blending is how these stellar inks react to water. So using like nice, bold, vibrant colors is a good thing to use because then you see their water reaction more vividly. So bear with me as I do a messy job of blending these 3 inks, and then you're going to see the magic happen when we apply water to these inks. I love water reactive inks, and there's a lot out in the market, but I feel like these stellar inks are exceptionally good for reacting to water, and I love how vibrant his line of colors is. I love using vibrant colors. So now we're going to do the magic, which is applying water. You can do that 2 ways with your water bottle. You can either spray it, or you could do what I am doing and remove the sprayer and tap it like you're tapping, doing splatters. And you're going to start to see the effects of splattering all that water on there. You're going to start to see these water blobs start to form, and it's just beautiful. I love that look. And now I'm just going to go in with one of the colors and do more splattering, because that is also going to get the ink to react, and it just adds more interest. And you'll notice on my video today that I'm going to be showing you we're going to be doing some additional things besides just creating backgrounds, because I want you to walk away with some very interesting and creative ways to build your backgrounds. So now you can see that we've already added the ink and we've already added the water splatters. Now I'm going to go in with the number balloons and I'm going to stamp a few random numbers using the same 3 colors. And you could even splatter over the stamped images, and you're going to get that to react as well, which is the fun of these inks. So I'm just going to finish this up, and then we're going to be finished with the first technique, which is really amazing, to tell you the truth. Even ink blending is an awesome one, but let's get into my favorite, which is ink smushing. This is the second technique you could use. So ink smushing, you could use a glass media mat, or you can use a piece of acetate, saran wrap, whatever you want. And what we do is we apply the ink to the surface, add water, and then we either use the acetate to lift the ink and put it on the watercolor paper, or we just place the watercolor paper directly over the glass media mat. I'm showing you both ways today. And because I want you to be able to choose, and also because each of them are a little bit different, and you're going to see that in a minute. Using acetate and applying that to the background is different than just applying it to your glass media mat and then putting the watercolor paper directly on it. I actually was not that happy with the second method that I'm showing you right now. It just was too blobby for me, but I stayed with it and I was happy with the end result. So what you want to do with this technique is start with the lightest color and work your way to the darker color. And you can see that I'm doing this and I'm trying to be careful when I apply the darker colors that I don't overpower the lighter colors. I want every layer to show through. You could do this with the same color family or you could change the color family, but I recommend that you consult a color wheel to make sure that the colors that you use work well together and don't create mud. At least that's what I try to do. Now you can see that we're really getting some depth in here with these gorgeous, gorgeous colors from the new release. And I'm just going to keep building it. I'm going to add the darkest color, which is red. And that might seem a bit harsh, but I really don't add much. I just tap very, very lightly to add a little tiny bit of that depth. You could also just go and splatter that last color like we did with the ink blending if you don't want to add too much of it. But now you can see they look alike, but they are different depending on whether you use your glass media mat to apply the color or whether you use a piece of acetate. I'm kind of leaning towards using the acetate because I feel like I can control the color that is applied to my card panel a little bit better. Either way works, and I suggest that you try both. The third technique is watercoloring. Yes, you can watercolor with these inks. You can watercolor on the paper. You can watercolor your little design images using this. And I'm going to show you how we do that. So what I'm doing is taking the ink, applying it to my glass media mat, adding water to that ink, and then I'm applying it onto watercolor paper. And I have sprayed the watercolor paper, saturated it pretty well because I want the ink to go on a little bit smoothly and not have a lot of blotches. And then what I used with the colors was I went through and picked rainbow colors so that I would have kind of a rainbow effect here and just lightly applying color. But you see how well this works for watercoloring. So if you wanted to use it to watercolor flowers or your critters or whatever it is you want, you could easily do that with this ink. And so they sell Simon Hurley sells re-inkers as well, and you could use the re-inkers to watercolor, and then you're going to get even more vibrancy of color using the re-inkers. So it just depends on how much vibrancy of color you want. And while I'm finishing this up, I want to let you know that everything here that you're seeing is sold on Ranger Ink, and I will provide the link to the shop in my video so that you can go and shop to your heart's content and get whatever new release items that you want. But keep in mind as well that you could do this with whatever you already have in your stash if you have water reactive inks. And there are quite a few out there that do react to water. So you just have to play with it and play with different watercolor papers until you are happy with what you like. So now that I finished watercoloring, and then you notice I added some water splatters because I love that reaction. Now I'm going in with one of the layers of the stencil, the confetti stencil, and I'm just going to add some interest. I'm not concerned with being perfect with this. I just want to add a little bit more to my background. And this is what I'm encouraging you to do is don't stop with just adding color to a background panel. Add stencils, add stamping, use the same colors that you used on your background and add interest, and then you're going to end up having a beautiful background for when you're ready for a card. I'm going to show you a couple finished cards at the end of my video so that you can see how easy it is to finish up a card when you have these gorgeous backgrounds. All you need is just a couple focal points and you have a beautiful card. So here we finished the third technique, watercoloring. Now we're going to do a direct to paper method, and I'm sure you're all familiar with direct to paper where you just apply the ink right to the paper. Can be a bit scary, yes, but it can also be a lot of fun if you let go of inhibitions. You can see me here just doing some swiping. I'm just randomly swiping. Yes, it looks like a hot mess, but this ends up being my favorite card panel that I end up making a card for my birthday card for my son using. Because once I finished with it, I was just so happy with it. And you're going to see it in a minute. And this may not be to your liking. You may not like this, and that's fine. I'm going to show you another way to do direct to paper as well. So you have a couple choices. And then you see me here adding water because you got to do it. You just got to do it. Look at how beautiful that is. So then I'm going to show you the second way you can do it, which is just swiping ink across the page. You can get as detailed with it as you want, or you can be like me, which is just randomly adding the color. I'm not worried about making it perfect because for me, this is more of a mixed media technique and I don't want to worry about it. And I also wanted to show you that you're not going to mess up your inks by doing this technique. They will be protected. Add more water and you have two easy backgrounds here doing the direct to paper technique. And look at how the water reacts to that ink. Oh, I'm so in love with it. Now I'm going back in again with number balloons and I'm going to randomly stamp numbers and also that really pretty star onto the backgrounds because again, I want to add more interest so that when I'm ready to complete a card, I have a beautiful background that's pretty abstract, but very interesting. And because you're only using a few colors at a time, you can get away with a busy background like this because the colors make it cohesive. So just kind of finishing up the one card panel with using that star. And then with the other one, I end up using some of the other numbers. And then I'm adding more water because I want the reaction. And I love that background. I just think it's beautiful the way it ended up. And now the last technique, the jelly plate. This is another favorite of mine. I could go on for days playing with the jelly plate and random inks. So I'm going to apply a couple of inks, 3 of them, directly to the jelly plate. And then I'm going to take the watercolor paper and place it over this, adding a little more water because it gives it a cool effect. Take the watercolor, apply it, and there you have it. Now it's still a little bit light, so I'm probably going to add more color, but I just love how random the end result is when you're using a jelly plate. No two prints are the same. So you can see with the second print, it's not going to be anything like the first print. But I'm going to go back in and add a little more color because I really want this to be richer in color, and I want you to be able to see how gorgeous these inks are. Look at that. Oh, those colors are beautiful together. And then, per the usual, I will be adding more details to these card panels, which is basically going to be adding the number balloons. They ended up being one of my favorites to use. And so you could see in this video, I used them quite a bit. So again, I just wanted to let you know that everything here that I'm using will be in the description box. And then at the end of this video, I will be showing you the finished card panels and then a couple of cards that I completed using these card panels. And then I hope that you can get your supplies out and try these techniques and just have fun with them and do them according to what works for you. I'm giving you suggestions, but you do what works for you. So I'm just adding a little more water and these card panels are finished. They're gorgeous. These are the finished card panels that we worked on today. I did add a little more detail. I ended up adding the bold candle stencil to that, add a little more stamping to these backgrounds, and they're so ready for a card. And I will be showing you a finished card. And then you can see how easy it is to add a couple things and put the card together. That was the direct to paper method. And here's a finished card I made for my son's 32nd birthday using that random direct to paper. And it turned out really well. And it's because you use the same color panels or the same color families. And I love the snarky sentiments. So thank you for joining me today, and I hope you have fun. Have a wonderful day.